Any other questions? Maybe one more from Greg and then we'll call it.
You're getting beat up, man.
Oh, yeah.
All in good fun.
It's only good fun if he agrees. It's good fun.
Also, I have a poll for you.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. Marx's critique of both Proudhon and the anarchists goes back to his critique of capital. And Marx's position on capital, which you can agree or disagree with, is the real exploitation in capital occurs because of the contradiction, that is to say, the difference in value between use value of labor, which is what it means to actually go to work in the factory, to expend your life, to make cars or whatever, and the exchange value, which is to say the value that that car fetches on the market, $10,000. Well, your wage is a fair market wage. It's paid at a market price. You get that market price, but also you don't ever. But also the car is paid at a fair market price, and yet somehow the capitalist gains value out of that. This becomes surplus value. It's where the exploitation happens. But in this case, okay, you have the industrial syndicate, and you also have the consumptive labor cartel. But in this case, then, the difference between the two on how you get products, unless you essentially have a state apparatus that is just dictating, which is fine, I mean, I'm for that, what people can and can't get and determining the conditions of rationing. But if it's fair trade, right, which is what anarchists have traditionally pushed, is that you have a fair trade, a free association of labor that is trading among individuals, a free association of commodities, then in that case you've just reproduced capital, except it's abstract capital that is localized between the contradiction between the industrial union and the labor cartel. And the surplus value generated will simply go, essentially the capital, would just go to those firms that are able, either through their productive capacity or more likely through their ability to manipulate the market. And I don't mean like in a nefarious way, just like they can buy and sell their products in the most skillful fashion, that they will be able to then reaccumulate capital. Is that a problem? Is there a solution to that?
Well, I mean, just been posed to me, so I have to think about it.
Okay.
So I don't have an answer.
You have for one more?
Yeah, last one.
So, as for the, again, this is simply a theoretical rather than practical distinction of the union as the basis of radicalization. Lenin makes this point quite clear in What Is to Be Done, which is within the context of the capitalist system, any given individual's fight is an individual fight for self-interest within the capitalist system. A demand for a higher wage is above all a demand to be able to participate more fully in the capitalist system. And as a matter of fact, there's no essence for any economic struggle fundamentally that will ever lead us to a revolutionary ideology. That me demanding more and more and more wages, more and more benefits, less and less hours, doesn't politically enlighten me. But as a matter of, essentially.
You're saying you can't snowmobile your path to a path of inner peace.
Well, that's inside reference that isn't particularly germane.
It's always germane.
But I mean, this is the thing is, in principle, we could imagine, a worker getting more an asymptotal, like infinite amount of money, infinite amount of benefits, and an infinitely declining work week. But there's no reason to presuppose they would ever see any problems in the capitalist system. In fact, it seems quite the opposite. So in this case, the Marxist critique is that the fundamental realm of struggle for communists or anti-capitalists is not in the economic form, but rather in the political form, to create universal political demands on the economic, like, say, a minimum wage.
Well, I think Rocker tried to, and I maybe didn't convey it very well, but in the book he tries to kind of make that point that we need to be involved in the political realm. You can't just leave politics aside. Just like we're trying to get rid of capitalism, you're also trying to get rid of the state and the influence of the state, or the oppression of the state is maybe a better way to say it. And so in the political realm, any battles that can be won for more rights, for people, less oppression, is something that you should be involved in. And the general strike, using an economic weapon, is something that is used in order to accomplish things in the political realm. So with unions, they are, unions are ambivalent. Unions can be reactionary and economist, as you guys say, or they can be revolutionary. And the whole point of anarcho-syndicalism is that to establish revolutionary unions or revolutionary syndicates that at the same time are teaching people how to fight and resist capitalism and the state. And of course, you'll win some concrete things like higher wages in the course of it. But the more important lesson, besides the fact that maybe it prevents people from living in just terrible poverty, but the more important thing is that becomes a school for people to learn how to organize and how to fight and win rights and hopefully accomplish a revolution. So I don't know why you would be upset about that, because even like say, if I recall correctly, Josh Sykes and people in FRSO, they're really active in unions. And part of, just from, for example, the MAFS line, the idea of that is that people learn by doing. And so how do you really teach people about socialism and about the revolution without having them engaged in these concrete struggles day by day? If you take the example of the Social Democrats in Germany, well, all they were doing is like getting people to vote for them. And so they had a pretty successful political party, but as soon as there was this effort by the Nazis to take over the country, they didn't have like this huge militant base of people that they could call on, because all they were doing is getting people to vote for them, and so they put up no resistance to the Nazis whatsoever. So I don't really see a difference between what he's advocating and what, say, someone like, Josh Sykes is doing in unions, and again from that idea of the mass line of people learning through doing.
All right, well, it's a little bit past 10 o'clock. We should give Will a hand.